Always great catching up with my next guest, Slippery Peter Barrett, who's going to be finally making his UFC debut coming up here against Steve Garcia at UFC Fight Night on August 8th. Slippery Pete, how you doing, man?
Good. How's everything?
Everything's great. It's good to catch up with you. Where are you heading to right now? I'm sure people are wondering.
Yeah, so I'm on my way up to Somerville. Me and my girlfriend, I don't know if we've spoken since, but we just bought a house up in East Bridgewater. If you're familiar with Massachusetts, it's really close to Lausanne's MMA. But I'm driving up to Somerville to get some work over at City of Tom.
Excellent. I didn't know that. Congratulations. It's always great being a house owner. I think that's great. The only time I've been to Massachusetts was actually last year for UFC Boston, and that's kind of where I'm going to start here. I know you tried to get on that card. Were you ever close at all to getting on that card, which was back in October of last year?
If you had asked me or Dana at the time, I would say yeah, but there wasn't much going on behind the scenes. I don't think there was a lot of leads. It just didn't seem to be working out timing-wise. So instead of forcing it to make it happen, we kind of just tried to let everything fall where they may, wait for the good matchup, not get pushy. You know, the last thing I want is Sean Shelby to be like, who the hell is this Peter Barrett kid? He's some old man. He's never fought for us before, and now he's just begging me for a fight. Let's give him some, whoever. Let's just shut him up, whatever. I didn't want that. I want to do it right, make sure people think of me and like, oh, I want that kid back. He was super polite, super respectful, looks people in the eye, shakes hands, says hello. So that's the attitude I'm bringing to the UFC, to make sure that regardless of what goes on in the cage, the people behind the scenes enjoy me coming to fight.
Did you try and get a fight sooner? I know initially you were supposed to fight in April. Were you gunning for something like late last year, or do you like having this much time off, to work on things?
Oh, God, no. Come on. It just so happened that I didn't get scheduled until April. We got offered a couple fights at 155. They weren't terrible matchups, but we just said, no, listen, we really want to fight at 145. And you guys told me I had the blessing to come in at 145 from the contender, albeit I fought at 155 to get the contract. 145 is where I belong. That's where I have the biggest advantage. That's where I'm most competitive. So we just stuck to our guns instead of jumping for a fight. And, now, lo and behold, I've got Steve Garcia on August 8th. And I think it's a great matchup. Stylistically, it's a great matchup. The fans are gonna enjoy that fight. I'm going to enjoy that fight. I'm sure he's going to enjoy that fight. So it's... Normally, I would like to fight 3 or 4 times a year. The fact that I got held off to hear this, not 365 days, 345 days. I fought August 28th last year. I'm fighting August 8th this year. A whole wrap around the sun since I've had the ability to get in the cage. And I am itching to get in there and get my hand raised.
Oh, I bet. Absolutely. No, I think that's smart of you to, go in on the right situation, not taking something where you're out of your element, like you said, fighting up a weight class. I know you can do it, but why not be at your best and fight in the preferred weight class? So props to you for that. Like you mentioned, they're supposed to fight in April against Danny Henry. Were they ever trying to rebook that matchup, or it was just one of those things where I guess they just had to fill up the cards and whoever was available?
So what had happened was we reached out to the UFC looking to get 6 to 8 weeks. They said, hey, can he make weight in 2 weeks? And it just wasn't in a place where that was a smart decision. We said, no, we can't make weight in 2 weeks. So when I realized that they were booking that fast, I had already said no to a short notice fight. So maybe when it came time to book Henry, I wasn't really on the radar. They wanted to make sure they could get him a fight that was someone that they could guarantee, yeah, this is someone that we know is ready to fight. And maybe I missed that opportunity. But him and I have been in regular communication, like, hey, who are you fighting? Who are you fighting? Would still love to get matched up somewhere down the road, because that's another great fight. I mean, the only difference between Danny Henry and Steve Garcia is really southpaw versus unorthodox. So I was getting ready for an aggressive striker, still getting ready for an aggressive striker. And like I said, I mean, me and Danny, we talk on Instagram from time to time. And, he seems like a super good kid, super nice kid. And hopefully we can get that one back in the octagon.
One more thing before talking about Steve Garcia. I know you mentioned your girlfriend. She's actually a nurse. How is she dealing with everything with COVID-19 going on right now? Because I know there's still a lot going on in the States as far as some of the the cases and things like that.
Yeah, so up until now, it's been super crazy. And like not up until now, like today, but um, she's an OR nurse at a trauma hospital in Boston. So pretty much the whole hospital shut down for anything outside of COVID or corona-related issues. So the people that they were operating on were probable, likely, or positive of corona, or came in on an ambulance. So who knows what's coming in on the back of that truck, but. They've kind of gotten back to normal. We've kind of got a better idea of what's going on with the coronavirus, and it seems to like it's really just an old people thing. And I don't mean just an old people thing, but 85% of the people that passed were like senior citizens. So there was less of a risk intrinsic risk with or extrinsic risk with bringing people in the house to train. So once we got a better idea of how we could manage it and set up a protocol, people in and out of the back door, only through the basement, no one into the main area of the house, we were able to set a plan and get to work. So now that everything's relaxed, we're kind of getting back to normal. But for a minute there, we were just like everybody else, trying to do our best, what we were told to do. And it's really hard to be a skeptic in real time as it's happening. So we just had to do everything to the max, self-quarantine, not let people in and out of the house. And when I was getting ready for Danny, it wore on me. And now that we have gotten past that point, I'm just excited to be back training again.
I know your friends and family are very supportive of your fight career, but did you have any, family members or friends say, you probably not fight right now, just with the fact that, like you said, your girlfriend's a nurse, and, I know you have to be a little bit extra cautious. Did you have any critics of you, choosing to fight at this time?
I'm sure, but no one said anything to me.
Okay, well, that's good.
That's in my direct family. I know there are people in my training community that aren't super happy with everyone that's fighting right now, but I'm sure one of my cousins is like, what's this moron doing? Like, we're in the middle of a pandemic, like, smarten up. But my family knows how much this means to me, and they know how much I put into it. I eat, breathe, and sleep this lifestyle, and everybody's been waiting. Everybody's on the edge of their seat waiting for a fight. You remember Max, he calls me every day. He's like, are you even in the UFC? What's going on? I got to stop telling my people you fight for Dana White. You don't get any fights. What's going on? So, he's happy that I'm finally fighting. Everybody's, I think, is just really happy that I've got a date. There's not a likelihood that this event's going to get canceled for any reason. And we're just moving forward in the right direction, and everybody's excited.
I always ask you about him, but you mentioned him there. Your brother, what's happening with him? Is he, obviously, I know there's a lot of, it's really tough to put on shows right now in the regional scene. Is he still fighting? Because I know he hasn't fought in a while. Yeah,
so the last time he fought, the last time you saw him fight was the last time he fought. He took the opportunity with a big general contracting company. He's now a project manager. Company truck, married, with the kid, with the house, the whole nine. He's living his American dream right now. He's crushing it as a dad in life, and I think he's getting ready to scratch that itch to fight again. Though, right before the lockdown, he was just getting back into some jiu-jitsu, back into some boxing, back into some kickboxing. So I know he's got the itch. I know he knows he's better than 95% of New England and could walk in off of 6 weeks and beat off almost anybody. And that's just the level that he brings him in. But he hasn't been consistent, but he wants to be consistent, but his priority is his baby girl, and I can't fault him for that.
You talked a bit there off the top of, going to train everywhere. What type of camp have you had leading into this? We've talked a bit about the restrictions and stuff. How's everything gone so far?
So all the gyms are still closed. Joe over at Lozon's, he does some outdoor classes. So since we don't have access to Lozon's MMA right now, there's been a small group of us that have gotten together at one of our family friends' farms. And we have a big tent with mats underneath, and we're down there a couple days a week. Small group, just rolling rounds for an hour. So it's like marathon grappling for an hour from 12 to 1. And I've got guys like Connor Matthews, Jesse Gutierrez, among some like recognizable MMA names, among many others that have stepped up to help get me ready for this fight.
Now, I got to ask, obviously, because you're fighting at featherweight. If I'm not mistaken, last featherweight fight you had was back in November of 2017. Is that correct?
That might be right.
Yeah, I was looking it up. I was trying to remember because I know there were some fights, I think there was like a catchweight in between there. But how is the cut going? Because I know, it is a process. You got to, diet and do all that stuff. How's everything going?
So far, so good. My goal is to come into fight week about 155 pounds. So if I can lose 3 or 4 pounds a week between now and then suck the last 10 water weight, that's my goal. That's what I'm going in there prepared for. And I'm right on track as far as that's concerned.
And any concerns, though, with the travel? Because I know you got to do the COVID tests and you got to do all this extra travel just getting over there and everything like that. Is that something that's kind of, crossed your mind as far as the weight cut?
Well, no, only because I was in the same situation a year ago when I had to go out and fight on the Contender. It was the same flight, the same preparation. I've got a couple aces up my sleeve that right when I land, these are the things I want to consume. This will help my body push any water out that I've retained from going up to altitude and coming back down. Simple things like getting outside and grounding right away, which if you guys don't know what grounding is, it's studied, backed, researched, but getting your feet in the grass as soon as you land, let your body reconnect with the earth. Things like that. There are some products that help stimulate your immune system. Paul Stamets puts out a hell of a product, like the Stamets 7 Immune Booster, which is 7 different mushrooms that, when consumed, help keep your immune system up to check. So little things like that while traveling, like little biohacks that you can pick up from other communities, pay dividends, especially when you're cutting weight.
That's cool. You're one of the first people to mention that. I've actually heard of that before. You're all into the biohacking stuff. Like, I don't know if you read any of like Dave Asprey's stuff as well, or Tim Ferriss. They're all into that stuff.
Yeah, Dave Asprey with the whole bulletproof thing, he was kind of like the tip of the iceberg for me. And then I started digging deeper and kind of realized he was like really, really low hanging fruit with really, really expensive products. And then, Tim Grover? No. Tim Grover's awesome.
Ferriss, yeah. I know he
Tim
does.
Ferriss.
Yeah.
His first book, The 4-Hour Body, is what really changed the way I looked at diet and nutrition. Really gave me some keys on how to eat. So Tim Ferriss started me with his diet, which then led to a paleo. Now I'm on this intermittent fasting, modified low carb version of keto, where it's not really keto, but that's like a good adjective that people will pick up on. Just really high fat, moderate protein, timed carbohydrates, and I just watched the weight melt off. And my energy's good, my body's good. It's when I'm strongest. It's when I'm clearest. Like, my biggest thing is I want to fight fasted because of how well my brain works in a fasted state, but I don't want to get in there fasted and have to worry about the third round. So it's like, and I fight at night. Like, I feel like my brain works best in the morning after I eat my mushrooms, take my, some of my brain supplements, the nootropics that I take regularly. That's when I'm firing on all cylinders. So my goal is trying to replicate that at 6 o'clock at night. But that's a minor detail. I know I can get the job done without having those things figured out.
How do you see the fight playing out on August 8th?
Oh, I am so excited about this fight. So I've watched his last couple fights, get a pretty good idea of how he fights, the style he's going to come in. There are some glaring issues, not issues, but opportunities that I can capitalize on. He doesn't seem to do well against other southpaws. That's going to be a huge feather in my hat. Zach DiSabatino was a featherweight. That poor boy took way too many knees than he deserved to that night. And it was just a violent, highly calculated violence that night. And I'm looking to bring the same. He hasn't been knocked out recently, if at all, but he's never been hit by me, which anybody can say that. But you've seen some of my finishes. You see the way I hit. You see the way I kick. I'm just going to bring this kid some high-paced violence for 15 minutes. I've got a gas tank underneath me. I'm stronger than I've ever been, or not ever been, but in a really long time, because I've had the consistency with the weights. I never stopped my strength and conditioning when everything shut down, because I could control that and I could do that in my basement. So my cardio is great, my strength is great, My attitude's great. My mindset's great. I'm crushing goals daily. Like, I'm gonna knock this kid out. I'm gonna get my hand raised. I'm gonna win that 50 grand. I'm gonna pay my mom back for helping me out over the years throughout this whole thing. And I'm gonna tell Sean Shelby that I want to do it again in a month. And we're gonna rinse, wash, and repeat. And it's gonna be the summer of slippery Pete.
I'm excited to finally see your debut, Pete. We've been doing interviews for a long time. It's great to see you finally get to go under the bright lights. It's August 8th. It is UFC Fight Night. Anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, the floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So check me out, Slippery Pete 145 on Instagram. Always much love and respect to my camp. Siatong Boston, Lozon MMA, Top Game Management, Skill Strength. Up in Chelmsford, Mike Perry is a mad scientist with fighters. He's turning out the best conditioned athletes that the UFC has seen. Then we have the guys over at Sheath Underwear. They always help me out. Rob's the veteran. It's a vet-owned and operated company. Butcher Box Sports or Butcher Box, they're great. They always hook me up with some product and some high-quality meat, right, for my fight camps as well. And then Zenden in Norwell, Massachusetts. If you guys are local to me, go check them out. They will put you back together, I promise.